Welcome to the Cemetery Gates podcast, featuring Xander and Android Virus. Welcome back to the Cemetery Gates podcast. I am Mr. Android Virus, joined by my illustrious co-host, Mr. Xander Kane. How you doing, buddy?
Great. Wonderful. Glad to be here on this beautiful Monday fall evening.
Yes. I don't know if it's fall where you're at, but where I'm at, record temperatures. Still feels like summer a little bit.
It was 82 today, or 81 today, but it's down to like 60. So it's nice and cool outside.
And then overnight, winter's going to say, "Nah, I'm here. I'm here for the next few months or whatever."
Yeah, I think we're in the 40s, and by Friday, I think we're in the 40s. So
there you go, man.
But then we'll have another day of 90. So who fucking knows?
So, yeah, man. Back volume 3 of our marathon of the horror movies. 31 days of horror movies. Right, our challenge. So this is volume 3. We sit and discuss the next segment of horror movies that you and I decided to watch. Never seen horror movies, right?
Correct.
Pretty much by us.
Yeah. So far,
yeah. There was a couple that I had to back out on because I'm like, oh, I've seen this. So we watched so much, so I had to repick some.
Yeah, my wife was like, I really want to watch Shaun of the Dead. And I was like, I have to hit 31 movies first. But luckily, I did. I've already hit 31. But as I was telling you, privy to the show, is I'll still talk about every movie that I do watch. I'll just save the extras that I do for this particular year. I'll just tack on the end of the final episode that we do, and they'll be really brief, like here's a rating, yeah, nay. They'll be, just so you know, there's probably a few things in there people might want to check out.
So yeah, I have not made her watch any movies with me this month, my wife. I've pretty much just done everything on my own. Not subjugating anybody. Actually, the only person that I did subjugate to some movies was Mona. And she got to watch a few. She actually watched one on this last show. She's not with us tonight again, but next week we'll have Miss Heather, the Canadian firecracker Powell back, so that'll be fun. She'll bring the fire.
Yeah. So I had my wife. She's watched 2 with me right now. So the first we watched was The Lodgers, which was the one about like the incest of the brother and sister. And then the second one was Winter Skin, which is the one that had like the skin dog in it. So I'm like, oh, 2 fucking winners for my wife to watch with me. So needless to say, she's only watched 1 more since then, but the third one was okay. It was safe. We'll talk about that one in a few. So
can I preface this by saying that what I'm finding throughout the 70s movies, and they're granted that they're a different time, and I take that into, I'm not all about saying, remove these movies off of the, any distro or, get them out of circulation. No. They have historical purposes. But man, there's a lot of attempted rapes, a lot of women smacking, and a lot of just like kind of all out and out misogyny.
Yeah, I mean, it is true. It's super strong in the 70s. Like, yeah, it's really. Like every female character, like it becomes formulaic to a certain point. Like every female character is like the meek woman who can't do anything for herself, and this big brooding man is just going to tell her what to do.
Yeah,
and like over sexualize everything, and it's just you're like, good God,
the proverbial verbal and physical punching bag. we'll
Yeah.
say. I mean, like, I'm not saying that to be disrespectful or anything, but it's really true in these films. So you and I decided we're going to do a little off-roading to start the show out with. We're going to
Yeah.
go ahead and get into Never Hike in the Snow, a fan film, Friday the 13th fan film, came out in 2020. So let's listen to the trailer real quick, man, and we'll be right back.
Shit.
All right, man. So that was the trailer for Never Hike in the Snow. And so this is a half hour. Is this going to be like this is going to be a series, right? Or is it
I just think they said there's going to be 4 total, but they
okay?
don't call this a short film. They just say it's a film. I guess technically, if you're going by film festival rules, which is 20, like a long film is 20 to 29 minutes, and this is
Okay.
31 minutes.
Right.
And that includes credits when you're talking like film festival times. So technically, at 31 minutes, it's a film. But since they're making 4, I don't know why they just didn't call it episode 1 or whatever. But it just says fan film. I don't know if they're going to be like pieced together. Is it going to be like a 2-hour, thing? I'm not really sure.
Well, who knows what it's going to be? But basically, 3 months prior to the events of Never Hike Alone, which is a 2017 Friday the 13th film that follows the strange disappearance of Mark Hill, a Crystal Lake resident who went a hike in the dead of winter and never came back home. So basically, the movie it stars Tommy Jarvis, but I don't know for legal purposes if they can call him Tommy Jarvis. I think they just call him Jarvis. So I'm sure there's like a lot of there's a lot of weird legal loopholes in how to get this shit made. I'm not quite sure what
Well,
they
yeah,
are.
without getting your ass sued. And there's a huge disclaimer at the beginning of the thing that says these don't reflect anything, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
But so
and whatever, but it's a Friday the 13th film.
yeah.
Either way you look at it. Directed by Vincente De Santi and starring Tom Tom Matthews, one of my favorite characters from Return of the Living Dead series. He plays Tommy in part 7 or part 6.
Six.
So he's back, and it's Jason hunting a kid, and pretty good death, I'll say.
Yeah, it's a great death. It gives you, people have been clamoring for Jason in the Snow for fucking 10 years, but for whatever reasons, the studio execs are like, nah. I feel like they're keeping it in their back pocket. So there's this fan film pops up now. I was like, hey, here we go.
Well, we get a twofold thing in this. We get the snow. We get some kind of a weird little murder mystery. Tommy Jarvis, cops. We also get a lot of things that we haven't seen in Jason before, which is some found footage stuff via the cop cam.
Right, and I like that. I
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
That made for a great moment in the movie, and it's not, it's a short. It's not that long, so it's not, if you have issues with like motion sickness or whatever, it's not really going to affect you. It's not enough.
No, it's not. I mean, it's not ham-fisted. It's appropriate. It's done really well. In this movie, we get what, two deaths, I believe.
Yeah,
And uh, basically Jason's back. Kind of the whole tropes from the Friday the 13th movies. Like Tommy's like, "Hey, you dumbass cops, he's back. Quit being a bunch of sissies and admit what's going on." And the cops are refusing to listen to Tommy.
yeah.
You got another cop. It's a half hour. It's not a whole lot to talk about. You get some pretty cool flashbacks with Jason talking to his mom. The dead head on the
Yeah.
table,
Yeah, yeah.
and I was really surprised by this. They removed his mask.
I know that was a very cool scene. I thought because it was a flashback scene for Jason, so it was like kind of this almost touching moment, realistically
Mm-hmm.
for Jason. So
Mm-hmm.
I love that, and also this thing is shot great. There's
Mm.
an awesome chase scene at the beginning that I believe it's drone footage of the guy that gets killed first is running through the woods, and you just have this beautiful drone footage going through the snowy woods, and it's great. So kudos to that. It's a great shot. That whole scene is great.
Yeah, it has to be drone footage, but we got some really beautiful shots in this movie. It doesn't come off very cheap. It's not a huge budget. They use what they can, and they make really great use of what they have as far as their surroundings, the forest, everything. Anything that you could name it. Really cool death at the end to end the movie, the short film, with the cop. Um, can't I'm pretty sure it's CGI, but they use it. I would say, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not like ham-fisted CGI like we would see in some of the sci-fi films.
Yeah.
It's not liberally used. It's actually a very conservative shot of CGI in the dark. It gets its point across, but
Right.
it doesn't look like a Blade movie, where,
The first
like
one.
like a cartoon. So there you have it on that one, man. So, man, again, for a fan film, a short film, and I hope to see a lot more, and I'm sure we are going to see a lot more, like you said. I thought this was great. I mean,
Yeah,
Jason,
absolutely.
Friday the 13th. I gave it a solid 4 out of 5, man. So
Yeah, me too. It's. I felt like they put all their money where they needed to for the two particular moments that really kind of make the short. They put their money in both of those. So kudos to them for that for sure. And I definitely check more out. I'll
yeah,
watch the next three. No problem.
yeah, no problem, man. So you guys can find that on YouTube for free. Never Hike Alone, 2020 film.
Never hike in the
Uh,
snow.
oh, Never Hike a Snow. Never Hike Alone was the 2017 one.
Right. This is a prequel or whatever,
Gotcha.
or
It's a
before it.
prequel. All right, man. So up tonight, we're gonna go through our list. I think I'm only doing 7 movies tonight, just because the way the month falls.
That's
Um,
fine.
31 movies. So I'm gonna do 7 movies tonight.
You
And I'm
just
sure
tell me when to stop.
just tell you when to stop. So yeah, I'm gonna do 7 movies. I'll go with my 2. You go with you 2, and then I'll probably wrap it up with 3 or the last one.
Oh, we did the same one, correct? We both did.
Night. Shadow of the Hawk.
Yeah, we can do that one together. So that'll be 222. So
Yeah, for sure. We'll do that one. But I'll do my first 2 to start off with, man. Um, man, it's funny when I write my movies down that I'm watching, and when I go and look at my original ratings and go look back at the movies, I'm always rating them higher because I'm stewing a little bit more on them. You know what I mean?
yeah, you're like,
So,
wait a minute.
yeah, it's good stuff.
That's a good thing though, right? That's a good thing.
Yeah, it is a good thing. All right, man. So I did we're coming off of the Blind Dead series last episode. I'm diving deep into 1975. You broke the middle of the decade for me. So up first for me, man, was a 1975 film called Bug. And it's obviously it's a horror film, and it's written by a guy named William Castle, who has written a million stuff. He produced Rosemary's Baby, so he's up there in the horror genre. So this is based off of a novel called the Hephaestitis Plague. And this was the last film that Mr. William Castle was involved in before he died. So R.I.P. to that horror guy. So basically, this movie kind of is in a small desert town. It's a creature feature. I'll just start with that with you guys. It's in a small desert town. It starts off with, like, your normal tropes of a cast. Your basic characters. Not a whole lot of character development. You got your couple. You got a couple doctors. This and this and this. They introduce them pretty quick. But it's really funny. They're in a church, and this guy's preaching about the end of the world and the end times, and there's an earthquake that hits the church. And basically what happens is it releases some mutant cockroaches from the earth.
A plague
from hell. And these bugs, which is really cool, they can create fire by rubbing their little hands together.
Right.
Because they're flammable, because they've been living in the earth, feeding on volcanic ash and obviously taking up their surroundings. And so what they found is the bugs have gotten in somebody's car. They blew their car up. They're wreaking a little bit of havoc. A doctor gets involved. He's studying the bugs, and they can't figure it out. But they find that the bugs can't live in low pressure in a low pressure chamber. And so this doctor, he kind of gets obsessed with the bugs. You have the bugs killing people off and on throughout the whole movie through setting them on fire. There's a really effective scene in it with a cat. I don't know how they quite did it, but it's really cool. And I don't think that a movie this caliber would have done like a Hills Have Eyes type of thing, like taking a dead dog off of the road,
right,
to shoot. So they did a really effective scene with the cat where a cat catches on fire. So these bugs are like setting people on fire, basically. And then so this doctor gets really obsessed with them, grows his beard out, just studying him. All of his friend just becomes a shut-in, pushes all of his friends away. And what he does is he breeds these bugs with regular cockroaches. And they kind of start to follow his commands. Like he says X. They spell X on the wall. He's all Y, and he's like freaking out, like he's having a nervous breakdown. So he's weird mad scientist. But basically, all in all, he this isn't a good thing, and this movie doesn't have a good ending because he creates a super breed of creating they're intelligent flying cockroaches
that can set shit on fire.
That can shit on fire. Oh, and that only feed on meat, red meat.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen this, but I cannot remember if I have or not. Like, it sounds so familiar, but I don't think I've seen it.
Let me tell you what, man. For my money, if you love those 1970s creature features, this is a violent one. B, it's acted straight. It's not goofy. It does have some goofy parts in it. I like the shit out of this movie. This is the rewatchability on this is really fun, man. It's really cool. I gave it a solid 4 out of 5.
Nice.
Really,
I know there's a couple good releases of this movie out now too. I think Scream Factory has a version of it out. Arrow Video in the UK has a good version of it out. So this movie's become pretty well accessible these days and polished up. Looking a lot better.
Very much
so. Than other I'm sure the original pressing or whatever was fucking terrible quality. So it's good to see it cleaned up.
Yeah, and if you got this on VHS in the early to mid 80s, those VHS, they wear down after time, right? So the accessibility on those, that gets a little beat up and torn up after that. I actually watched this on Hulu, of all places.
Right.
Yeah, so it was really cool, man. Enjoyed the shit out of this. Check it out, guys. Bug, 1975. And then I did another 1975 film, which really surprised the shit out of me. And I don't know if you've seen this, but this one's called Race with the Devil.
Is it Italian by chance?
No, it's not. Completely American.
Okay.
But okay, so very cool thing about this movie, it's an action horror movie.
Nice.
So it splices action and horror together. 1975. It's an American horror film, directed by Jack Starrett, written by Wes Bishop and Lee Frost, and it's starring our favorite B-movie kind of action actor, Peter Fonda. And Warren Oates, who's hilarious.
Oh, really?
Oh, Warren Oates. I love Warren Oates, man. If I could inhabit somebody's body in the 70s, it would be Warren Oates. And he's not a buff guy. He's just this fucking just cigarette smoking fucking probably has some false teeth wearing fucking guy who you could tell he's been smoking for years. Loretta Swit from Taxi, the blonde lady. So or not Taxi, MASH.
No.
You never watched MASH?
No. Yeah. I know about
Okay. Anyways, so basically, this movie it kind of starts off with just real basic. Peter Fonda and Warren Oates, they're motocross riders and they're like best buds. And they decide to go on a road trip. They're like from California. They're going to drive to Colorado or something like that. They may be in Arizona. No, I think they're in Texas. I take that back. They're in Texas, and they're going to drive to Colorado to go skiing. And Warren Oates buys this badass new RV, state of the art, 1975, or 76. They load their motorcycles on the back, but they got their ladies in the RV. They're just making their trip. And this is back in the day when you could pull off to the side of the road and camp at a lake, and you didn't have to have like a permit and nothing, just whatever. Back when people really took care of their surroundings, environment, and picked up the trash after themselves.
Right.
Then all the regulations had to come in to say nope. So, anyways, long story short, these guys are camping. Ladies are on the RV playing a game of cards. The guys are outside enjoying a couple of drinks. Couple of Jim Beam on the rocks, and they notice a bonfire across the lake at night, and they're like, "Oh, let's go check it out." They're a little buzzed. And they both have their binoculars, and Warren Oates, he's like, I think they're having an orgy, like.
Of course, that's what Warren Oates says.
Yeah, then Peter Fonda says, let me see, give me those, don't be stingy, don't be stingy. So he takes and he goes, you damn right, they're having an orgy, and there's tons of naked people, men and women. There's full frontal nudity, so it's an R, obviously, and they're around the fire, but they're. These people are kind of, some of them are wearing masks, some of them are in cloaks, and next thing you know, there's this chick raised above by all these people, and the guy who's wearing the most nefarious mask just dagger right in her, and they're like, "We just witnessed a freaking murder. We need to get the fuck out of here." So like they're drunk, kind of buzzed. They tell these, "We gotta go." So they're racing out of there from where they're camping. It's dark. They can't see. They don't know the landscape very well. They cross the river. They get stuck. And all of a sudden, the just dudes out of nowhere wearing cloaks and no shirts are just like jumping on their RV, banging in the windows, just trying to get them. And they're getting away. They finally get away. They make it to a KOA camp. And people are just giving them funky looks. They're just kind of looking at them funny, staring at them, smiling real weird. And the ladies know what's up. They're like, the Satanists are here. They're like, you could just tell, like, all these people might be Satanists. We're not sure. So they befriend another couple. They go to a bar. They come back. They find their little puppy, their little poodle hanging from the door of their RV by its neck. Very brutal. Very. I'm like, oh no. They're like, we got to get the fuck out of here. So they killed my dog, and so they leave. And as they're driving, just out of the fucking cabinets, underneath the beds, rattlesnakes are just coming out. So they're having to kill the rattlesnakes. They're on the road. They make it to a gas station. They're getting questioned by these weird kind of Texas hillbillies. They're giving them that weird look. And next thing you know, man, they're getting jumped again by a bunch of cars that kind of resemble a Mad Max, chase. They're just using the RV the best that they can. They make it to the next town, finally purchase some weapons. It happens again. They're shooting. All kinds of cool shit, man. Really good stunts in this movie. Just scary shit, man. They're trying to get out of like 3 counties that are full of Satanists.
Yeah, like in the thick of the shit.
Yeah, the cops are involved with this. They're Satanists too. I don't want to give it too much away about this movie, but it doesn't end good for the Peter Fonda, Warren Oates, and their respective wives. But man, again, this movie is so fun. I was a little leery of it first because it's action horror. We'll see what's up. But just the car chasing, the stunts that went into this, It could happen in real life. It's just a spooky, trippy fucking story, man. Race with the Devil for me, 4 out of 5, dude. Another one.
Damn.
Great,
Damn.
great fucking film, man.
The,
1975
the 70s have been good to you.
so far. So you could watch this one, I believe, on was it Prime or not? It was on Shutter. I think it came off of Shutter, possibly Hulu, Prime, or something else. I don't know. Anyways, there you have it,
Just
man.
watch App and Find. Boom.
Yeah,
Righteous.
there you go.
All right. My first pick, I'm going to go all the way to current 2020. The Babysitter Killer Queen,
Yes.
Netflix original film, directed by Mick G, who directed the first one. So this is the sequel to The Babysitter, which was pretty well and liked on Netflix. It was pretty successful. I actually didn't even know they were making this sequel until it was like, hey, it comes out in 3 weeks. I was like, oh, shit, they made it. But if you watch through the credits on the first Babysitter, there's a scene that pops up, which is obviously a little, red herring that maybe this ain't over, right? And so this film picks up, same kid, same nerdy little kid. He's a weird kid in high school. He was wearing like a weird suit the whole time, but he's still kind of in love with this other neighbor girl that I could not remember if it's the same neighbor girl from the first movie. I don't think it is. I think it's a different actress, but I think it's supposed to be the same character. And so he's in love with her, obviously, because, the kid,
Is it the same kid?
It's the same kid, but he's older, a little older. When you're at that age, whatever, one girl's really, really nice to you, and when she's cute, you're madly in love with her, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's just him. And he's having some issues with his mom and dad at home, and they're worried about his mental health. And he gets wind that they're going to send him to like a psychiatric hospital for evaluation. And he runs and tells his little girl friend that, or not his girlfriend, but his female friend that, and she convinces him to come to the lake with her and her friends. But all of her friends are like kind of shitty, right? Like just shitty high school kids. Like, of course, she's dating like the douchiest fucking jock of all time, and he's like super tries to be like empathetic and sympathetic towards the kid, and he's just a fucking asshole. But he's trying to be nice because the girl he's banging is,
The chick
good
he
friends
loves.
with him. Yeah. So he winds up going on the little camping trip. The parents find out, and then lo and behold, the curse. So what I probably should have, if you haven't seen The Babysitter, all this is fucking meaningless to you, and you have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. So maybe a little backstory here. So in the first Babysitter is about a kid who falls in love with his babysitter, and basically she's like a cult obsessed woman that wants to live forever, and so she creates a cult and convinces a bunch of people to join her fake cult or whatever, so she can sacrifice the kid, the virgin, to become immortal or whatever the fuck it was. And so that basically comes back around in a somewhat creative and somewhat predictable way. Like, how are you going to like loop all this back into the cult shit, right? And of course they go out on this little, when they go out on their little trip out on the lake, this is the opportunity that all that's going to happen. So, and then it's just through the rest of the movie is just him like trying to run away from him. And you have all these great deaths like you do in the first one. Like a girl gets stuck in between two rocks, and her head is like, or it's like just at her chest is like pinned in between the two rocks, so her feet are dangling, and they just basically rip her in half to try to pull her apart. Yeah, so it delivers in all the ways that the first one did. There's great gory deaths. There's some good humor without beating you over the head with stupidity or slapstick stuff. So it has its funny moments. It's not as good as the first one is to me, but I think I was completely blind when I went into the first one. I just watched it, just turned on and watched it, and that was the best way you could watch that movie because you have no idea what's fucking coming, right? Like going in blind was great. So going into this one, you just lose that. You don't get that. Like you're just kind of waiting for me. I was just waiting for how it was all going to get back to where the story was in the first one. But still, all in all, man, really enjoyable. If you like the first Babysitter, you're gonna love Killer Queen. I think for a sequel, kudos. It does get a few knocks for me for a little bit, but nothing crazy. It's still solid 3.5 out of 5 on the Babysitter, which I think I gave the first one a 4 out of 5. So it's really not that big of a step back at all.
There you go.
Yeah.
I got to check it out. I really enjoyed the first one, so I'll definitely have to see the second one.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then the next movie I watched was pretty much the polar opposite of this, from 2019, The Curse of Halloween Jack. After I watched this, I realized this may be a part of a series. There's another one that came out, I guess, the year before or whatnot. But this movie is pretty terrible. It's about a guy who went in and randomly killed a bunch of kids on Halloween night at a Halloween party, just went through slashing and killing everybody. And so now this town has some sort of phobia at a Halloween like Footloose does, the dancing.
Oh.
Yeah, or the town in My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah,
or they don't
My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the same thing.
They don't celebrate that.
Good. Okay, now I know I like a good slasher flick, right? And I know some people are just making them to because they love it, and that's fine. But man, this movie, every fucking kill, there's no blood. There's no blood.
Okay.
One of the someone gets a phone stuck in their mouth, and that kills them, and they fall over. No blood. And there's three or four other deaths where there's just no blood. I can't remember one scene with blood. There has to be blood in there somewhere. And then he's got the Halloween Jack has it's like a potato sack with these red incandescent lights in the background to make it look like it's kind of burning. It almost looks like the end of a cigarette, right? Like that kind of orangey color.
Yeah, I'm looking them up.
But it just doesn't the poster art. It looks cool, but on film, I didn't feel like it did. It looked like a Spirit Halloween prop.
Is it the Legend of Halloween Jack, right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I'm looking at them.
Or no, I'm The Curse of Halloween Jack. So
The Curse of Halloween Jack.
Yeah, I think they're the same thing. But I don't know. It just came off more of a ripoff than anything else. I just couldn't get over the fact that they cut away from every death, and even when they did show it, there was not even a drop of blood. And it just wasn't. I don't know. It was boring as hell. Every time I was like, what? So
there it is. Yeah, I feel like it's a sequel. This is a sequel to maybe The Curse. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look this up. Yeah. Or The Legend. Yeah, it looks like there's two of them. Yeah, he has these LED lights behind his burnt mask. He almost looks like a potato sack, but he also almost
yeah.
You and I can make that mask.
Yeah, it's a hard pass for me, man. It's a 1 out of 5. Woo! It just doesn't have the Curse of Halloween Jack. Just doesn't have any really. Even if it was the first slasher-esque film that you saw, I don't think that you would think it was that great. It's just not. And I hate to be that harsh on what because I'm sure the people that made it probably love slashers like the rest of us. But man, it's a hard swing and a miss.
Not good, huh?
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to go back and watch Legend of Halloween Jack.
Don't do it. Don't do it. All right, man. Good deal. So we'll go up with my next two. This one I found on Tubi. This is a no, was this a replacement? It might have been a replacement film. Because I feel like I tried to watch a Bigfoot movie and I was like, oh, I'd seen this one before. So, which I was very pleased with as far as finding this as a replacement film. Now, this one is 1976's The Witch Who Came from the Sea.
Yes,
I don't know.
I've seen this. Been a while.
Okay. Good. American horror film directed by Matt Simber, starring Millie Perkins, who that they were a couple, I guess. So he got her to be in the movie. So weird little backstory about this movie. The actual cover art is taken from a Frank Frazetta poster. Frank Frazetta, we all know who Frank Frazetta is, who actually did a painting called The Witch from the Sea. So this is a direct rip. He didn't do the cover art for this, but if you go and look up for The Witch from the Sea, Frank Frazetta, it's far superior to the cover art. Not taking anything away from the artist who did this, because this cover art is fucking awesome.
It is
So,
good, yeah.
yeah, but can't touch Frazetta. So basically, the film starts. It's a '70s film, and it's this is an odd one, real odd, man. I'm just gonna kind of it. I had to get mentally like it didn't catch me at first, but then I kind of had to get into the vibe of it. You know what I mean? To kind of know what I was getting at. But so basically, it's about this chick. She lives with her sister and her nephews, who she completely loves. She adores her nephews. Her sister's kind of a slouch who sews clothes that she gets from, like, I don't know, Goodwill bins and sells them off to people. But it's really weird. Like, the sister, she's a drinker, not the sister who sews the clothes, but the main chick. So basically, her name's Molly. She lives in Southern California. She's obsessed with television. She drinks a lot. She pops a lot of pills. She's a bar maiden, and basically she's suffering from some like weird sexual repression following some molestation that she experienced from her father as a sea captain, which are some really uncomfortable scenes in this movie.
I remember that being like, ugh.
Very uncomfortable scenes in this movie. So I don't know how they did it. I don't know if it was. It's just really uncomfortable. I'm not going to really get into it. I'm just going to let everybody know if you do watch it.
Trigger warning.
Yeah, very uncomfortable scenes of sexual molestation implied, and maybe not a little bit. Maybe the actress was 18 or 17, but looked like a 12-year-old. Anyways, she kind of goes like an Eileen Warnos thing type, right? She kind of turns into another person, and she uses her sex, or her sex, but her prowess to fuck dudes, and when she ends up killing them in pretty fucked up ways. And it's really weird because when she's in the state of this weird repression, or this weird other state of being, I guess, the witch from the sea, she's kind of strong. She's a superpowers a little bit. And she likes to castrate the guys, cut their necks, cut their dicks off. There's some blood that shoots out. So it's a long convoluted story. It's a lot of, you know, seducing men, cutting their dicks off, cutting their throats. And, you know, at the end, she does commit a weird suicide with one of the weirdest endings I've ever seen, where she has her nephews hold her and she's like, Auntie Molly's going to go to sleep now. And she swallows pills and drinks her vodka.
I remember that being like, what?
We love you, Auntie Molly. Give your Auntie Molly a kiss. And they kiss her, and she like dies in these little actors' hands. It's really weird, man. So The Witch from the Sea, it's a rough watch, and not for the fact that it's not well made, because it is well made. It's a little dated. It comes off as a drama, so you kind of got to get into that. This is definitely
it moves slow,
pretty slow, but some of the scenes are effective. She gets a tattoo of a mermaid on her stomach, and her dad had that tattoo, and it deals with some really fucked up shit, man. It deals with, you know, being molested, repressing it, hating men, going into a different state of mind, cutting their dicks off. So for me, it was a 3 out of 5. I liked it. I'm not going to say that I didn't.
Yeah, no, I did too. I remember being like, I don't know if I'd ever watch this again, but I liked it.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd ever watch it again either. But it's out there. And if Mona's listening to the show, I got her to watch it too. And I told her, I was like, hey, there's some rough scenes in this. And she's like, fucker, you didn't tell me there was this. And then I screenshotted our conversation and circled it. And I said, remember, there's rough scenes in this. And she's like, oh, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I told you there's some rough fucking scenes in this. So,
you were warned.
Yeah, a lot of nudity in this movie, which isn't bad, but, you know, whatever. Again, 3 out of 5 for what it is. It tackles some heavy subjects. And that's why it kind of gets the 3 out of 5 for me. So check it out. It's on Tubi for free. So if you guys want to watch that. And all right. So up next, I had to swap this out for another uh, uh,
Bigfoot movie.
Bigfoot movie, and I didn't. I told myself I'm not going to do no blaxploitation this month, but I did, and because I couldn't really find anything that caught me. Um, I did 1976's JD's Revenge. Are you aware of this, Mr. Xander Kane?
Yes, I've seen that. That. It's been a long time.
So you can watch this for free on YouTube. You can watch it like on Epics. It's and all the familiar places. You can find it on DVDs. I don't know if there's a Blu-ray out. If you can find a Blu-ray or a VHS of it, I'm sure you can. So basically, it follows the story, and again, it's a blaxploitation film. We say that with all respect. It's in the time, which basically this movie just had nothing but black actors in it. That's all it is. I guess that's what makes for a blaxploitation film. It has Louis Gossett Jr. in it. Oh, it's out on Arrow, by the way. Maybe there is a Blu-ray out. But Louis Gossett Jr. I mean, there's a lot of actors in this. Glenn Turman. But anyways, a man becomes an unwilling host of a restless spirit of J.D. Walker. He was a hustler and pimped, killed 30 years earlier when he was wrongfully accused of killing his sister in a basement in a meat locker. So you have all these years later, this cool dude, him and his wife, just normal people, man, normal hardworking guy, him and his chick. He's studying to be a lawyer. There's some normal folks. They decide to go to a nightclub in New Orleans, like a comedy club, and they do that old trope of hypnotizing the people on the stage.
Right.
Now you're a frog. Now you're this. Now you're that. So while he's in this state, JD finds his host, and he enters Isaac Hendricks, our main character, and Isaac slowly he becomes possessed by JD, and he needs to get revenge on the people that wronged him or he was wrongfully killed for and wrongfully accused of a crime for, and kind of like The Crow, but or The Crow 3, which I enjoy The Crow 3. So okay, so this movie, it's kind of like the other one. There's a lot of drama, a lot of acting. It's a little slow. There's some funny parts in it, and I think more of the funny parts in it are the whole like the stereotypical pimp shit, right? Like, like one of my favorite parts. He's like he buys a hat that catches his eye, and his chick's like, "Well, is that hair really you?" And he rips it off your head, and he goes, "Whatever," all pissed off, and he walks away, and he's drinking out of a thermos. She's like, "That's weird." He's walking around the house wearing this pimp hat, drinking out of a thermos, one of those old '70s thermos. It's like, okay, and then like he has some rough sex with her, and I don't know if it's rape, but it's definitely like a new sexual territory for her that she's not used to him. It's just a little rough. And then one of the funniest parts is, and I had to look this up, but I got to mention this on the show. She comes home and he straightened his hair, right? And it's like split right down the middle. And, and then like that 70s haircut, it looks like a clamshell, right? That's what those 70s haircuts look. They look like clamshells. And he's "What's the matter, baby? You don't like your daddy's conch?" And like conch, like a conch shell, right? Not cock, but conch. And I'm like, oh shit, I learned something new. You're afraid of those hairdos back in the day. Oh shit. So he becomes more and more into the pimp's role, and he becomes more of the pimp and beats his chick up mercifully and beats other chicks up and beats guys up and falls in love with, as he's the pimp, he falls in love with the guy who shot him, who's now a preacher. Louis Gossett Jr. falls in love with his daughter, and he finally gets his revenge and his just due diligence, and then at the end, it's like okay, happy ending. Everybody's, it's really weird. It got a 2.5 out of 5 for me. It's middle of the road. It had a lot of funny stuff in it, so it's okay. It's funny. If you're into blaxploitation, you want to throw this into your notch on your belt, check it out. JD's Revenge. Again, you can find it anywhere. So there you have it.
Yeah, righteous. Yeah, there was a time where I went through and watched a bunch of blaxploitation stuff, and I watched JD's Revenge and Truck Turner and some of those other ones, all like back to back to back.
Yeah,
But they all, most of them have like, once you start watching a couple of them, you'll start seeing like, constant running themes through like all of them. There's a lot of similarities in all of them, which is interesting to see, but
yeah,
it's still fun.
I question myself if this was a horror movie. Um, I guess technically it is in a weird way. There's not a lot of violence in it. There's more shootings and kind of little knife cutting, but nothing like too outrageously, gory or anything. I do want to give it to the actor who played JD, like how he just goes back and forth into this role. Uh, he acted the shit out of it, which is really cool, man. So,
Yeah.
so kudos to him. So, all in all around, fun movie. It's okay. 2.5, just middle of the road for me. So there you
Yeah.
have it.
Cool. So next up for me is actually one I watched with the wife, and she liked it. So hey, but it's
Yay!
2020's The Invisible Man with Elizabeth Moss.
All right.
So this is like the reimagining of the Universal monsters, I guess.
Love that
The whole
movie, by the
thing
way.
that they're trying to do. Um,
Yeah,
so
but it's so like I wish they would kind of link it a little bit. So this is Universal.
yeah.
Is this their dark universe that they're trying to do still, or?
I don't know that one way or the other. I don't, because the other one's that fucking Mummy movie with Tom Cruise. It's terrible. So,
Yeah, that's weird.
but this one, so it takes it just turns it into more of a modern thing, right? So the idea here is Elizabeth Moss is married to this super fucking intelligent, like next level. I guess he's a physicist.
Hmm.
So he's just like the elite of most elite, but also it turns out he is super abusive to her. And
Mm.
at the very beginning of the movie, she's like being very meticulous about like leaving the house, like she's trying to get up to leave him. So she drugs him on the nightstand. She crushes up some pills in his water, but she notices he didn't drink all of it. He drank some of it. So she's got like a little timer going, so she knows like how long roughly he's going to be asleep to get all her shit together and get the fuck out and escape. So she gets all her shit together, goes to leave. Her sister, I found this so infuriating to me, right? Like she calls her sister to come pick her up at like this late night hour, and her sister does. And then as soon as Elizabeth Moss gets in the car, she's screaming like, "Go, go, 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 go!" Because at this point, the husband's like been stirred awake, and he realizes that she's leaving. And so he's coming that way, and she's like freaking the fuck out, telling her sister to go. And her sister's just sitting there in the car, like, "Hey, what's going on? I don't
Mm.
know." I'm like, "Fucking, your sister told you to pick her up in this weird fucking scenario, who's freaking the fuck out, and you just want to sit here and talk about what the fuck's going on. How about you just get in the car and fucking go?" And of course, the husband like punches through the glass to grab like Elizabeth Moss, but like they get away. And then the whole movie is her, or from that point in the movie, she goes into like hiding essentially and goes in to live with a friend who is also a cop. And she's kind of become an agoraphobe. Like she won't go out doors because she thinks he's coming for her because he was so mentally abusive and manipulative and just like really had every control of every aspect of her life, like even what she was supposed to think about random shit, like he just controlled it all. So she kind of becomes an agoraphobe, and then her sister comes to tell her that he's dead. She doesn't have to worry about it anymore. And so then she gets a little bit of relief, gets a little brave, and then she goes to the lawyer's office, who happens to be her brother-in-law, and they explain like the money situation, and everything seems to be all as well. Well, then she starts getting these little hints of like, what the fuck, like really weird things that he would only know, right? So like these hints just keep dropping and dropping, and eventually you realize that, oh, he's fucking Invisible Man. And I don't want to give away everything, obviously, because I think it's fantastic. But that's so it's her basically trying to convince everybody that he's not dead. He's not fucking dead. I told you he's not dead. He's manipulating. He's doing this. He's doing that. And basically, he's trying to get everybody turned against her. So he's intentionally making her feel crazy, and like he sets her up like to be like he's still like the manipulative psycho he was before, but he's really just fucking with her hardcore. And so
Gaslighting that.
yeah, and it just escalates and escalates and escalates, and And the third act, I think this movie is fucking solid in the third act. And it is well worth your time, in my opinion. It's a great modern telling of a classic. It's kind of got a new spin on it. And Elizabeth Moss, without her in this movie, it's just not as good. Like, it's just not. Like, she is outstanding in it. She's, she's great in everything. She's great in Handmaid's Tale. She just plays this character like so well. And it was just a great watch, and the ending to me was so good. Like, I was like rooting for the ending. I was like, come on, like, I got all excited about it. But yeah, I think this was super solid. Invisible Man's 4.5 out of 5 from me.
Cool.
It's great. I rented it on I just rented it on Amazon, but I'm gonna buy it because I would watch it again. It's great. Hands down. Check that shit out.
Man, I got to see that. And that's something I kind of want to watch with my wife. And
yeah, the thing is, like, I mean, I don't know if necessarily every guy will get this or not, but like, if you're a woman that's ever been like domestically abused by your partner, this movie's fucking terrifying. Like, imagine if the person that like did the most harm to you mentally and physically could become invisible and still fuck with you.
Oh.
That's like a whole other level of like, holy like that movie will be terrifying for certain people, certain scenarios that they may have in life. Like, and when I thought about that, I was like, God damn, this is a good movie, because that's, some people are going to get triggered watching it, but highly fantastic film.
There you go, man. Nice.
And then my next film, I'm gonna fuck up saying this because it is an Indonesian film that's on Netflix called Kuntilanak.
Okay.
Kuntilanak. And so this is a lady adopts, like, I don't know, there's like 6 kids in this house, and she's got to go leave to go meet somebody in the States, and like the oldest daughter is like in charge of the kids. So it's basically all these kids in this house, and that's like the main character. But like right at the very, very beginning of the film, I should have said this first. Like, there's a scene with this mirror, right? And this mirror like appears to be haunted, and it causes bad shit to happen. And it eventually makes its way back into this house with this family of 5 kids and their mother had like a mirror, and it was cracked. And so the oldest girl's boyfriend is trying to find a mirror for her, and he happens to be a fucking ghost hunter who was on like this assignment for the ghost hunting thing, and he's at a talking about the Kuntilanak and like the spirit, and the spirit likes to take children's souls and all this and that. And so as he's kind of explaining the history of the Kuntilanak, and he sees this mirror there before he leaves. He's like, oh shit, this mirror's perfect. So he takes it back to their house, and it has this like this weird sculpture at the top, looks like a long Pinocchio nose on it. It looks creepy as fuck. I wouldn't want this thing anywhere near my house. So it gets into the house, and then, just of course weird shit start happening. So there's some so full disclosure, this is a great kids horror flick.
Oh, okay. So it's for kids.
If you can get them to read subtitles, it's so good. And there's a few things that I was like, this is weird, because like when the kids, and it's just like a cultural thing, right? How films are represented from other countries, and like the kids will be like having this little banter, and you'll hear like this little whoop. It's like a weird comedic springy noise to show the kids are poking fun at one another, and it happens like 3 or 4 times, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And it's just like it does it, and then it doesn't do it again like the second half of the movie. But like what I love about this movie, and I say that it is a great like kids movie, is like, so once like shit starts to happen, the kids are picking up that there's a ghost in the house. Like, there's something. The Kuntilanak is here. They figure it out, and they research it, and then they go like all fucking Goonies style to try to like figure out how to defeat it. So it's basically the kids versus this soul-sucking, child-killing monster.
Interesting.
But it's just there's a lot of great scenes in it. For sure. And the kids are fantastic in it. They acted their asses off for like 5 little 5 little kids. that probably don't have any other acting credits other than this like weird like horror movie that they're in.
Interesting.
But man, it was just I enjoyed the shit out of it, and I was like, man, I wish I could. It's a great, like I said, it's a great kids horror film, but like it's in Indonesian. I don't know if there's any dubs on it, but like I feel like if you sat down with the twins would be like, oh, this is kind of cool. But it starts off kind of silly with those weird sound effects and those little springs, like so you don't really know how to take it. But once you get 20 minutes in, you're like, all right. Once it gets going, it's good.
Can I say this? I feel like that the Indonesians don't get enough love. I mean, and especially like you're talking like the Ong Bak series or the Raid series, like, and those are martial arts action films.
Yeah.
And those movies are fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
So good, so beautiful.
They do make some great horror flicks, but they're hit or miss.
Sure.
They're just hit or miss. Some of them are awful, and some of them are great. This one happened to be great. It's 4 out of 5 for me on Kuntilanak. I hate to say, like, if you have kids, you can get to read want to read subtitles of the movies. Like, I don't know.
Oh, my kids could tell their teachers they read a book. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, so it's
hey, we read this book about this kid.
And the thing, there's nothing like crazy in it at the very beginning when you first see the mirror. Like a little kid gets eaten up by the mirror, and there's there's like a trail of blood going in. So they kill a kid like within 2 minutes of the movie.
Interesting.
But outside of that, there's no really other gore. But the little demon lady or whatever is creepy as fuck. Very Samara vibes. But they do. There's a lot of money in this flick, and it. I mean, this was a sleeper hit for me, hands down.
Nice. All right, man. Cool. Sounds good. Kuntalaga. We'll check it out. All right, man. So this next movie, I'm up to still 1976. We'll do this one together if you don't mind. Shadow of the Hawk.
Shadow of the Hawk. Yes.
Yeah, man. So 1976's Shadow of the Hawk, which I didn't find out to the end of the film was a Canadian horror film, directed by George McCowan.
It is Canadian?
It is Canadian.
I need to mark that because I didn't know, and I don't have a Canadian movie. What?
There you go. It's a Canadian horror film. So stars Jan Michael Vincent, who we know from Airwolf. Airwolf, right? From the show from the 80s. Marilyn Hassett, Chief Dan George, and a bunch of other actors. So basically, an old Native. It basically follows the story of an old Native American man. He's a shaman. He's trying to find his grandson in the big city, who would be like considered like a half breed. Like his mom's probably white, his dad's probably Native, or either or. But he's got.
They don't actually say. He just says he's half.
He just says he's my he's my grandson.
Yeah.
Yeah. They really say that. But so he basically he's the grandson is like a successful business guy living in the big city. He's got chicks. He's good looking. All the stuff. The
he's
cars.
The total package, right?
The total package.
Charming.
Jan Michael Vincent, man, of the 76. Doesn't get that much better. So
he is a handsome fellow. I mean,
yeah. So
typical 70s handsome fellow.
Yeah. So all he had to do was give up the booze and the cigarettes, and he would have lived a better life and had a longer career. But I digress.
Yeah.
So I used to watch Howard Stern, and they had Jan Michael Vincent on there one time, and I think he lost a leg, and he was half blind, and just wrecked his car. He got fired from Airwolf like on the final 2 seasons. Just didn't really treat, or I would say Hollywood life didn't treat him well. So
yeah.
But yeah, so basically the story is they're trying to fight the curse of this ancient native lady who is involved with black magic and put a curse on their village because they killed her off back in the day, but her spirit's still alive, from what I gathered. And the old man, it's really funny. He's like, "Hey, I need you to drive me home." Like he gets into the hospital. He's like, "I can't drive you home, Grandpa." See the bus, or he goes, "Okay, well, take me to the bus." Well, we need to get something to eat first. And it's funny because I just say like, and I'm just gonna say this that it's kind of growing up where I grew up in the Southwest. And I have a lot of really close friends that are Native, and I have some family that are Native and Hispanic. Those two cultures have kind of interweaved a lot. it's kind of like that with certain family members and Hispanic or even Native, like, hey, can you give me a ride home? Hey, I need to get something to eat. You know, it's just fun. It's just weird. It's a cultural thing. But anyways, they kind of just have to travel back to the village of where this all happened to stop this lady, and all the weird stuff that happens throughout it, right?
Yeah. Well, he tells J. Michael Vincent that, like, he's like, I'm old. I can only fight her for so long. You will have to basically be the one that takes over to make sure, essentially, kind of keep her at bay from fucking shit up even more. So,
Yeah.
which he doesn't take that information very well. He's like kind of irritated by it. He's like, what?
Well, but it's weird because there's a really cool scene at the beginning where he's like swimming with this chick in his high-rise apartment, pool, and maybe he's drinking or whatever, and she pushes him in the deep end of the pool, and he's under the water, and he opens his eyes, and he sees that white ghost face,
Right.
and he's like, "Whoa!" It scares the shit out of him. It's trying to get him under the water, and he's like, "Oh, it was just." So he's starting to have visions too. So he's got the power, man. He carries the force as well. So, and it's it's pretty cool because they're being chased kind of throughout the movie by like kind of weird nefarious sources, a
Like
black car.
Yeah, it's like a weird ghost car, which was cool as shit. It had very Phantasm vibes to me. I loved
Yeah.
that whole sequence. I absolutely loved where it was the car was behind him, then it was in front of him, then it was beside him. He's like, "What the hell?
Yeah.
Impossible! It can't be the same car. It can't be."
Yeah.
And the
And then
grandpa's like, "It can."
yeah, it can. And then he draws the fucking line in the street.
Oh, the invisible line. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh, that's so sick, and the car hits it, and like that's
Crushes.
it's such a cool gag. So like imagine like as a viewer watching like seeing like maybe like just a wire, like a wire guardrail, like the old school wire guardrails, just strewn across the road, and the car just hits it, but it's invisible.
Yeah, like think Under the Dome, the Stephen King show. If you watch that, like the very first episode, they just like smash into this invisible wall. But this was like in the 70s. But it
Yeah,
looked great though.
it did. It
It
did.
looked really good.
There was no wires. I didn't see no wires
Mm.
to that scene. It was really good. But so him and this reporter that's helping them, we forgot to leave out that main character because
Oh
it's
yeah,
the grandpa and then a reporter, this chick who Jan Michael Vincent lands within 24 hours. He's kissing her in the loft of a freaking
he's got that Tom Atkins swag going.
yeah, dude. So, but the grandpa, like, so they're being mostly attacked by forces of nature at this point, right? Like after they take care of the car guy, like they're the wind on the bridge. They're crossing a bridge and they get caught in a windstorm. This janky bridge in the middle of the forest. They're getting attacked by snakes. He gets attacked by a bear. So he's getting attacked by like a lot of like forces. It's really cool, man. Like they took a lot of if you don't understand some of the Native American lore, even if it's again if it's lore, but they're getting attacked by these things, and they're getting attacked by nature itself. She's using nature to attack them, and he even has to end up fighting this guy dressed up as a hawk, and
Yeah,
which is okay. It's not a bad scene. It's decent.
it's not. It's they didn't shoot that scene super up close either, so which was good because no
Yeah.
punches or the first little squabble. There's really no punches landing. You just kind of
What I found really cool about this movie was they finally make it, he fully gets fully kind of fully indoctrinated to be the next shaman, yeah. And the chick is kind of at the cabin while they're doing their thing, and she's getting attacked by something in the cabin. She get attacked by a chick, right? By the main bad chick, doesn't she?
The same one
Yeah.
that was underwater
Yeah.
with him earlier is the same. So like, I assume that's what is her Nika? What is her name?
Yeah. I forget her name.
I think it's
Pretty.
like Nika.
Yeah. Really pretty, man. Really pretty chick. But they show some really cool background scenes of like the black magic rituals that they were doing. They're really creepy. Like you
Yeah.
kind of have like they're all getting into the same rhythm, and like they're not kissing, but they're like breathing in each other's mouth and breathing
Yeah,
each
that is
other's.
so fucking weird. Like, so
Yeah.
also I was watching that, and Whitney walks out. She's like, "What are they fucking?" I was like, no, they're just breathing really heavily within a quarter of an inch of each other's mouth.
They're breathing
Like,
in and out of each other's breaths to, to like, it's a trip, dude. And so basically, kind of ends up, you know, these like weird zombie natives kind of come out of the woods to like kind of encircle him at night. And then this coyote or wolf comes to attack him, and he
yeah,
finally just like cuts its neck or breaks its neck, and then it cut out to the camera, and he's holding the chick, not his chick, but the chick who's attacking him. So she's a shapeshifter, and again, man, like for me personally, because I'm in Native American country, a lot of Native American friends have grown up with it in my culture. I'm not, I mean, I'm part Native, but I'm, like a quarter Native American, but like, so for somebody like me to look at it is spooky,
yeah,
and it's cool. It's an action adventure film. Don't get me wrong.
yeah.
It does have some horror elements to it. It's more of a thriller. It definitely could come off as a TV film, I feel like. But just because I take it from that point of view and I see it from another point of view and I understand that culture, it was a trip, man. I liked it. I
Yeah.
liked it. And then the old man just goes off to the canoe in the river or the lake. We'll see you later.
See you later, little hawk.
I'm gonna go die. But anyways, man. I like this, man. I don't know what you felt about it.
I loved it, man. I love these. I don't. This also had just like a killer 70s vibe to it, right? Like it was just spot on, like 70s. But I think we need more like Native American horror movies because there's so much like subject matter that is super spooky.
Taboo.
Yeah, there's just
it's taboo, bro.
you have an endless supply of just like shocking things that not shocking, but like the average person has no idea about all the cultural stuff and like
I have personal
ceremonies and stuff like that you don't really have any.
I have personal experience with some shit. I don't really want to say because I don't want to feed it no energy, but I got some personal experience with some shit that me and my wife have both witnessed, and it's spooky, man. And so I tread lightly. I respect it, man. That's all I can say.
You're like the Catholic boy watching exorcism movies, right?
I'm getting chills even thinking about it. Seriously.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed this a lot. For sure. What did you rate it?
I actually rated it a 4 out of 5.
Okay, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. So, okay. But I liked it. Like, I'd watch it again, hands down.
It had some slow parts in it while they're traversing through the forest.
Right. That's where it kind of drags a lot. For me is like when they're first like kind of driving across town. Then there's the whole scene in the restaurant. Like,
yeah. It's okay. So yeah, man, I'm 4 out of 5 wasn't bad, man. So yeah, so Shadow of the Hawk, 1976, man. You could find this pretty much a lot of places.
Yeah, I got it on a double feature Blu-ray from.
Yeah.
Actually, Mill Creek put it out, so it's like next to nothing. It's like $8 for the double feature on.
Really?
Yeah, it's super cheap. It's worth it. I snagged it because I don't know anybody else released that movie on anything. So I was like, well, if I'm gonna watch it, I need to snag it. So I got it. I'm glad to own a physical copy. So
yeah, that's amazing, man. And Chief Dan George, he's so endearing and funny in this movie, man. Just typical old man, native, just kind of a cute little dude, man.
Yeah,
so
it was funny at the restaurant when like they're not even done eating. He's like, when I get back, we leave.
Yeah,
like, he's got like a whole beer. She's got a full glass of wine. He's like, when I get back, we leave.
All right, man. So this next movie has been on my list for a fucking hot minute, and I have never seen it before. And I basically watched it. It was great. I de-virginized myself. 1976 is Tobe Hooper's Eaten Alive. I had never, I mean, I'm aware of it, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen it all the way through. I believe I caught it on maybe an Elvira or an Up All Night or something.
No, Joe Bob Briggs did it one time.
Yeah,
because I caught the end of it.
Okay.
And I just never got back to it. So I said, I'm going to do this. And let me just first off and say this is like Texas Chainsaw Massacre on acid for me a little bit. And the reason why I say that are mushrooms or psychedelics because there's a lot of colors in this movie. So This movie got a Blu-ray release, Shout Factory, I believe, and you can
Arrow.
also Arrow, yeah, and you
Arrow,
can
yeah.
also and then the Arrow release is on Amazon, so you get a very clean copy on Amazon, uncut, by the way. Um, so basically, Eaten Alive, it's also known as Death Trap Horror Hotel, Starlight Horror, 1976 horror film directed by Toby Hooper, not written by him, but directed by him, and basically follows just a weird small town, edge of town, little area. It could be in the same Texas Chainsaw Massacre universe. I don't know. It seemed this whole movie's filmed at night.
Yeah.
It's not filmed during the day at all. There's a whorehouse, and the brothel is ran by, which is really weird, by Lily Munster, the lady who plays Lily Munster. But they put some weird pancakey makeup on her that makes her look old and weird, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre status. Yeah. She's dressed really weird. But then you have this hotel ran by this crazy dude in East Texas, and he feeds people who he's a very sensitive, mentally off guy, and for people who piss him off or get too involved in his business, he will he'll kill them. He'll kill you with this. He'll kill you with the sickle, and he'll feed you to the crocodile.
To the gators.
Yeah. So there's deaths in this right away. Brutal deaths. Lots of boobs, breastises. Marilyn, what's her name? The chick who was in Friday.
Marilyn Burns.
Marilyn Burns is in this. She comes back as Toby Hooper's, which is it's just. This is an odd film, dude. Toby Hooper brings out the weirdest in people. It's a very House of a Thousand Corpsey feeling movie, especially with it cleaned up. It doesn't give off that 70s vibe. It's got a lot of really pretty women. Robert Englund is in it, plays an asshole.
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino ripped off completely Robert Englund, or this movie. My name is Buck, and I like to fuck, or something like that. So you got that line in there, and he's a rapey guy who gets killed and thrown to the alligator, which is a really good death. There's a lot of good deaths in this movie. I don't want to give too much away about it. A lot of screaming women, a lot of blonde women. Stuart Whitman plays the I like Stuart Whitman. He plays the sheriff. And then there's another actress in this who really caught my eye in this movie. And she plays a role in it. Oh, by the way, Janice Blythe is in it. The girl who was a part of the Firefly. It's not the Firefly Clan. In The Hills Have Eyes, and 1 and 2. Ruby.
Oh, okay.
She's in it.
Oh,
and
really?
She's sexy. She walks around with a lot of boobage and undies. She's a sexy girl. A lot of sexy women in this movie, I will say. But there's an actress that really caught my eye in this movie. Her name is Kristen Sinclair, and her and Marilyn kind of survive at the end of the movie, along with a little girl who's trapped below the house, who the guy's trying to get. But Kristen Sinclair, she was in a ton of B movies and exploitation movies in the 70s, but never acted past like 1980 and just retired from Hollywood. But this chick could have been something. And there's a reason why I'm bringing her up, because my next movie review. But anyways, he ties Marilyn up in the bed in the hotel, and she's, trying to get away, and she can't get away. And it's just a weird movie, dude. It's out there. It's very Texas Chainsaw Massacre-y.
Yeah. Oh, it makes sense. I mean,
it's kind of like the light you have behind you in our little video here. It's a lot of that. A lot of red lights, a lot of blue lights, a lot of purple lights, a lot of lighting in this. So, all in all, man, I don't know if it's my age. I did enjoy it. It was a 4 out of 5 for me. Don't get me wrong, but it did kind of leave me with a not so good of a feeling.
A little dirty.
Yeah, a little dirty, and I think it might be my age, because I'm kind of getting to that point where, like, rapey movies and just weird movies like that kind of like haven't really been for me much lately. I don't know what it is. It's just kind of like, but this one made me feel dirty, bro. I don't know what it was, but this out of all the movies on my list this month, this one made me feel the most dirty, eaten alive. So it's super violent, super nudity, super overacted, and you see where Rob Zombie got his shit from. So I'll just put it to you
Right.
that way. Good 4 out of 5 eaten alive, man. Check it out on Amazon, or you can find it on Blu-ray.
Nice. All right. Let's see. Yeah. Up next for me is another 2020 film. Apparently, I watched a lot of 2020 films this week. Vampires vs. the Bronx, another Netflix original.
Oh, I've heard good things.
Yeah, it's solid. So this is very much, everybody's kind of comparing it like Lost Boys meets Attack the Block, which is a fair assessment of it. So what's going on is these kids live in the Bronx, and the whole neighborhood's getting bought up by some like developer, and like they're losing their favorite places. So it's kind of a tale of gentrification, and then live inner cities. And so these kids try to do like a fundraiser, and they're doing like a block party to help raise money to save their like favorite bodega for this guy Tony's Bodega, who's is an awesome character in the movie. And so the kids are just going around doing kid shit, and then eventually they kind of figure out vampires are in the town. And as they try to like go and thwart them to save the city or to save their neighborhood, they drag in like the Tony from the bodega is like the first person to believe them because nobody believes them, and they wind up getting trapped by one of the big vampires, or who they think is one of the big vampires, and they have to escape from there. And they're just I don't know, like it's enjoyable. There's some great vampire scenes, like the vampires look great. Like there's plenty of money in this movie, obviously, right? But man, this movie made me want to watch The Lost Boys more than anything. And especially the ending was like super abrupt, like, and it didn't feel like it paid off to me. But the kids are fun in the movie. It's acted really well, or they do a good job acting. But it's just I don't know. For me, it just felt more like a copycat instead of an homage for me. But I still got some enjoyment out of it. So, but I don't know, man. There's really not much to me. Like, there's not a ton to say about it because people like love it. But for me, it's like I'll just watch The Lost Boys.
Oh shit!
It's like it's a better movie, but it does have its charm to it, I guess. So I still gave it a 3 out of 5 on Vampire vs. the Bronx. But to me, it was more ripoff rather than homage. But maybe that was my mood, and apparently I feel like I'm the only one in that camp. So we'll see what sort of it'd be interesting to see what some of our listeners think about that one. So it is on Netflix, so it's easily attainable. But it's 3 out of 5. It's above average, but I don't know if I'd pop it in again and watch it. Like I'll just go watch The Lost Boys or Attack the Block for that matter. But it's not overly funny though. Like it's not too slapsticky though, which is good.
Yeah.
That was kind of the saving grace, honestly, that it wasn't too bad, but it was still enjoyable for sure. And then, wait, am I doing one more or is that 7?
Is that 7? I have one more.
Oh, then I have one more too.
Cool. I could do one and then you could do one?
Yeah, you go ahead.
So today I ended up watching another. Well, this one was 1977's. So it's fresh in my mind. 1977's Ruby. Are you aware of this movie?
Yeah, I think I watched it 3 years ago for this.
Did you?
I did. I'm fairly confident. I have to go back and look.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have to do a better track keeping of our stuff. But yeah, man. 1977's Ruby. Basically, it's a supernatural horror film directed by Curtis Tarrington. Stars Piper Laurie, the mom from Carrie, and Stuart Whitman, who was also in the movie that I just talked about, Eaten Alive. And the chick that I talked to about who was in Eaten Alive, the actress that I had just mentioned, what was her name? Kristen Sinclair. She's in this movie as well. Which is really weird that these two movies back to back that I watched had two actors in it from the previous movie. But hey, the 70s were busy times for those types of people. So basically, the story follows Ruby. It starts off like in the 1940s, 50s, and Ruby is kind of like hanging out with her gangster boyfriend, and he gets shot by another gang, and they're all like dressed up like Goodfellas, right? Like from the 50s. They're not like a gang, they're like Italian dudes, but they're in Florida. And so fast forward, to the 70s, the whole gang of gangsters got thrown in jail for whatever. Ruby decides to go straight, opens up a drive-in movie theater, and hires all the guys that were released from the prison to work on her movie theater just to give them a job and help them out. Ruby has a daughter who's mute.
It's like pit bulls and parolees.
Yeah, exactly. It's drive-in and parolees.
Drive-in style.
And Ruby has a daughter who's a mute, who probably she was pregnant with this girl when her man was shot and put in the fucking swamp or whatever. So basically, like right from the get-go, like weird paranormal stuff starts to happen. These old gangsters that are working at the drive-ins are getting taken out one by one in okay ways, but it's more of like a poltergeisty way. One gets hung by the film reels, one gets thrown up against a tree for attempted rape on the actress I said, Miss Sinclair. And the guys are just kind of going out one by one. The daughter doesn't talk. They bring a doctor in. She kind of gets some information out of the daughter. A little bit, but they're starting to find out that the man who was killed in the lake is doing all the killings because it's his ghost. And he finds out that she double-crossed him, his wife, his chick. And, that's pretty much the movie. And it's not that good, I didn't think. It's okay.
Yeah, I don't remember caring too much for it.
It's very, and I was reading some reviews on it, and I couldn't agree more when someone said it's very overacted, over dramatic.
Right.
It's got some okay death scenes. There's some originality to it. Again, it's on a drive-in movie theater, which is pretty cool. All the good people, the good-hearted people in the movie live at the end, which is good. But it lulls big time. There's a lot of drama in this movie. I found myself trying to just stay engaged to it. It's okay for an original story. It is what it is, but I gave this movie a good 2 out of 5.
Ah.
So there you have it. Ruby.
Yeah, I don't remember caring too much for that one. But I'll go back and look and we can discuss later or whatever I rated it. My last film will be 2019's Girls with Balls.
Oh, wow.
This is a French film. Oui.
Yeah,
I think it's France and Belgium, actually. But so this follows, the reason the title Girls with Balls is it is a girls volleyball team. And, the movie starts off with them at like a volleyball tournament and them winning and the other team getting mad and basically run them out of the gym to try to fight them. I don't really know why. But that, that's what happens. And so they're all on this bus together with their kind of sleazy ass coach who's, I don't know, he like walks the line of pervert and, I don't know, just, he's just a weird guy, right? And he's always making like weird comments and shit. So he's an interesting character in the movie for sure. But so this bus eventually breaks down on the way back home, and they basically start getting hunted by these like weird backwoods people, like, Wrong Turn style, right? Like, but not quite like super mutant, like Wrong Turn. They're not like super deformed, but they have like bags on their heads, and basically just becomes a giant like hunting game for them. And so they're just picking the girls off one by one. Then the girls obviously start fighting back. You get some pretty good, you get a couple really good like deaths in here for sure. But man, the humor in this is like super like crass and just almost South Parky. Like the one girl's like, "Hey, which one of you stuck your finger in my ass?" You're like, "What?" That's my dog. Sorry.
That's okay. It happens. We're keeping this in.
Yeah. So it's like, hey, which one of you girls had your finger in my ass? Like, what?
Oh.
It's just like stupid humor like that the whole time, and it just keeps coming. Like, it's just crazy inappropriate jokes. Like I said, South Park style. It becomes a bit eye rolly though. After a while, you're like, okay, how many more shitty, crude jokes can you cram in this thing? But luckily, the movie is pretty short. I think it tops out at like 80 minutes. It's like not long at all. So by the time I was like kind of over it, the film was wrapping up. So it had plenty of violence. So it was pretty funny there for a little while. Not the best, not the worst, but I do think if you do like that like kind of style of they're gonna make whatever inappropriate jokes they want to make and they don't really care. I mean, they do it and it is funny for a little while. It got old to me, but I still think it's worth checking out. There's some good scenes in this thing. I like the idea, even as silly as it is. And there's a great scene where the little mutant guys come out and, the fucking bus driver just bails on the girls and he leaves them there. And like later on they flash to him walking down the road. He's talking and he's like making up excuses in his brain why he left the girls. Because he's the only man with like these 13 girls and he just runs. He's out at the beginning. He's just totally gone. So it's funny to watch him like have self-reflection on how shitty of a human he actually is because he left all those girls back there. So there's a lot of kind of funny internal dialogue going on with him a few times. But all in all, it's just kind of It's a 2.5 out of 5 for me. Does have some redeeming moments, but the jokes were a bit. In the end, the jokes were just like too much for me. In the end, I was like, all right, whatever. But I could see like some people would probably eat this up and fucking love every second of this movie. But to me, the jokes is what kind of brought it down a little bit. So 2.5 out of 5 on Girls with Balls.
There you go, man. Sounds like something I'd like to see.
Hey, I say check it out and judge for yourself. Like, I said 2.5 out of 5. That's not a bad movie. It's just average. So it's worth checking out, I think. I say keep your expectations low because you might get in there and you'd be like, nah, this ain't for me.
God damn it.
Just turn it off. Because I was reading reviews on it and it was pretty polarizing. Like, most people were either really high on it or this movie's fucking awful. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of in between, like across Letterboxd and a few of the other places that I kind of trust some users on there. But yeah, everybody, it's kind of one way or the other. And I was like, I'll play it safe in the middle because that's actually how I feel about it. So
there you go, man. Like, yeah, this week, not bad viewing, man. I quite enjoyed the movies, give or take a couple of this run. We're going to see. So our next show will be wrapping up Volume 4 in our series of 31 Days of Halloween. And we will be with the Canadian firecracker herself, Heather Powell.
Hailing from the great white north.
Yes.
The Canadian firecracker.
Yes. The queen of White Claw, as they say.
The queen of White Claw.
So
that's how I'm introducing her on the next show. She doesn't know yet, but that's what I'm doing.
I'm going to stay quiet and everything. I'm going to play some. And when I go back and edit, I'm going to play some really good music in the background. Oh, it's going to be hilarious. So, all right, guys. So, thank you so much. So next week will be our final installment. I'll be doing movies, I guess, 24 through 31 of my 1970s films, and I'm sure you'll be doing the same of whatever movies you pick.
Yeah, it's going to be heavy on the foreign flicks.
There you go, man. I might re-update my list, so I'm not going to give away what I got on here, but we'll see, man. So, all right, guys, thanks for checking us out. You know where to find us, and we will see you on the flip side, the dark side.
Yes.
Good night.
Good day.
So.
You've been listening to the Cemetery Gates podcast, featuring Android Virus and Xander Kane. Follow us on Twitter @AndroidVirus, @Xander_Kane, and @CemeteryGates66.